Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Somebody wants to know what could be the reason behind a lot of self-talking and anger issues up to the extent of hurting himself and others. And they're asking for a 14-year-old who is considered high-functioning autistic.
14.
Yeah. Self-talk and self-talk, anger issues, and hurting himself and others.
And others. So if it's and others, it's a little bit too much for me to want to just give you a brief advice here. And I also would want to know what the self-talk consists of, because obviously we have a lot of kids who will, so it could be, I'm thinking like multiple different things, right? So the child could have heard someone who is telling them, oh, you did that wrong. And they could be repeating that to themselves, which is a form of self-talk, and it is degrading himself, and that's anger towards himself. Or he could just be repeating things that he's heard on TV, which have nothing to do with degrading himself. I don't know what he's saying to himself. Anger towards self and others is very important, and it needs to be dealt with. And every situation has to have a what's called a functional behavior assessment. So every instance that there's anger and an expression of anger or any challenging behavior for that matter, you need to understand, we have to figure out what it is that is the function of that anger. In other words, why is he angry? What is he expressing? Is it because someone placed the demand he's trying to get out of? Is it because he is trying to gain access to something? So the function of each instance of anger is vital before I can give you advice on how to deal with it.
And they wrote back in some information that he has a lot of interest in suicide cases, and they said illusional thinking, which I'm not 100% sure what that refers to, but that he's... Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you're probably right. So a lot of that going on.
Yeah. And this was a 14-year-old. This is kind of a little bit of a difficult situation, or getting dangerous. I would really do my very best to block his access to things that have to do with suicide or watching things that might be inappropriate. I've had many cases of young teens who go online and watch really brutal things, and then they become obsessed with it. And they start talking about it. And then because they don't quite understand how unsafe or how dangerous it is, they start experimenting with those things and can actually cause harm to themselves or others. So this is a very, very important thing. And I would please ask you to start by really blocking access to all sources that have to do with this type of thing. But then also, I don't know where you're located, but I would really try to get involved with both let's start with a BCBA. If you can get access to a behavior analyst who can actually sit with you and sit with your child and figure out why a lot of these things are happening, they can really help to reorganize things in the home, and for him, give him much healthier activities that he can engage himself with. Just like he's obsessing about suicidal stuff, he could be obsessing about something great, like a sport activity or cooking or something else. But he really needs to refocus on something else, and that needs to happen ASAP. I think I just saw the parent write up again and said, yes, this is the situation. And when he is stopped or warned, he broke the mirror and hurt. Yeah. So what I want to recommend to you is that, again, as I had mentioned to the other person who was writing in also from Pakistan, I was saying, please don't get a group of people together who can help you. Because one of the most important things when you start working with your children, especially 14-year-old, aggressive 14-year-old, you cannot be afraid of him hurting you or breaking things. Because when a child breaks a mirror and then he hurts someone, you immediately back off and you're like, oh my God, I better be careful here because he's getting aggressive, right? And in his head, what he's learning is, oh, all I have to do is break something and hit someone, and I can go back to watching the things I wanted to watch. Okay. So that's not what we want, because he's learning that it is effective to communicate with aggression. You don't want that. It should not be effective. So what you need is when he breaks a mirror, or if he attempts to be aggressive, you need to have enough people, like maybe men or strong therapists around, who are not afraid when he does those types of things, and who can help restrain him, get him involved with something else, take away the things that are breakable, like the mirror and so on. That's called antecedent control. Put it in an environment. And, by the way, if you take away things that can become dangerous if they're broken, like a mirror, and if he breaks other things, let him break it. Like, don't give attention to that. Still take away the source of watching the suicidal stuff. If he breaks a mirror, you can still take away his computer. Or it doesn't have, one thing doesn't have anything to do, it doesn't matter. Eventually he will calm down. And that's why you need to have larger, strong people around, so that he doesn't hurt other people, and hurting himself doesn't get serious. He won't get hurt himself to the point that it's serious. If he's hurting himself, it's in order to get your attention and get you to realize or to think, oh, I'm serious about this. So, you need to have a team of people. I can't tell you the number of times a parent has told me, I'm afraid of my child. I'm afraid of my child. And so I really want you to get enough people around you that you never feel you're afraid of your child, because he is 14. You still have time to teach him aggression is not okay. No matter what, aggression is not okay. And if you don't teach it to him now, believe me, it gets harder when he's 17.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that, don't be afraid to take the things that you care about that you don't want to be broken and lock them up someplace. Even if for 3 months there's no mirrors in the house, you'll survive that. But it takes away that paycheck, and it makes it harder for them, because it's very hard, as you know, Dr. Granpeesheh, for us to have a non-reaction when they're about to break an heirloom that's, was your grandmother's. But now is a great time to lock that away. Just put it away. Yeah. You can take it back out when this is under control.
And I know that it's also extremely hard because we have guilt towards our kids. And so we feel bad about taking stuff away, and we feel bad about not allowing them to watch stuff on. But that's what's the destructive power. We cannot be guilty. We cannot feel guilty about being strict on this condition. Aggression towards self and others is a very serious matter. Watching stuff that they shouldn't be watching is take away his hammer. I just saw that the parent wrote, take away the hammer. Literally take away the things that allow him to be that aggressive.
Yeah. Even if you have to wait until he goes to bed tonight and then go through the house and lock all that stuff up. Find a place and put all that stuff.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.